glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. And the schedule's out. We're going to be able to go through all of this.
And it's bold, Ant. It's a bold schedule.
It is really bold. And Alex is going bold enough to take off. Ooh, he went, wow, that's bold for the shirt.
That's right.
And I went accurate.
I mean, it's bold. It's a bold day with the schedule release, and it is also accurate.
There you go.
You get both of those things there.
Yeah, so we're going to go through the schedule. We're going to give everyone a rundown of what is going on, what the day is, who they're playing, and what the matchup. And then we'll come back and have full conversation about it. So in week 1, they're going to be playing the Chicago Bears in Chicago at 10 a.m. So that's a 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's a nice early game for the 49ers. But week 2 is the home opener, Alex, against the Seattle Seahawks. The rival Seattle come to Santa Clara to play the 49ers, a 1:05 time on Fox.
That is absolutely impressive, Ant. But yes, 1:05 time on Fox there for the home opener against Seattle. Week 3, Ant, they got the Broncos at Broncos. It is Sunday Night Football on NBC, 5:20 p.m. Pacific time, start time. So starting off week 3, big test there with Russell Wilson. Maybe we'll get to see Trey V. Russ there, week 3, prime time in Denver, mile high altitude.
Oh, Russell.
They get a little taste of the early altitude now, and the high altitude now before Mexico.
Well, there you go. And Russell Wilson is going to be rearing his ugly head for the 49ers. And then the next week, they're back at home against the Los Angeles Rams, the rivalry that just keeps on giving. So that's going to happen, and that is a nice game there. I believe that's Monday Night Football. They're going to be playing the Rams in week 4 at home on ESPN, so that'll be a good one.
Correct, Ant, correct. And then week 5, the 2 games that were released that said the Niners were opening up this season, right, and back-to-back games now. They said people were claiming, the league said, the Panthers in Atlanta to start the season off, Ant. Well, you get the Panthers in week 5. You're at Carolina, October 9th, 1:05 p.m. on CBS is what you got there. And then week 6 at Atlanta, at the Falcons. So you can see there already, TCC, 1, 2, 3, 4 away games. So 4 of your first 6 away, but you're at Atlanta on an incredible date there. It's October 16th, Ant. It's actually one day late of a great day, October 15th. 10 a.m., though, on Fox.
So the day after your birthday
Correct.
is what you're alluding to.
Correct.
And that could be a holdover week where the 49ers stay on the East Coast. They've been doing this pretty consistently, and I'm sure we'll get into that. And then week 7, Alex, your wedding day.
It's true.
Your wedding day.
Day.
The 49ers are going to be playing the Kansas City Chiefs at home October 23rd at 1:25 on Fox. That's the game of the week. And Alex, what time was your wedding again?
5.
No.
5. So we can watch
the
a
game.
little bit of I can a good chunk of the game.
I'm going to watch the whole thing. So the wedding may be delayed.
Oh, yikes.
Sorry,
yikes.
Megan. Sorry about that. And then
yikes.
week 8, they're on the road going to SoFi Stadium. October 30th at 1:25 on Fox. They're playing the Los Angeles Rams.
So you're at the
for
Rams
the second
there.
matchup. So they play the Rams twice in the first 8 games.
Twice in the first 8 games, a little surprising there, Ant. And then week 9 is the bye week. So San Francisco has the bye there in week 9, not
Nice
playing
spot.
any game. It's a nice spot. It's 2 weeks late, in all honesty. It's 2 weeks late. Should have been 2 weeks earlier, week 7. It's fine. Then we can move on to week 10, and they got another AFC West opponent, in the Chargers, and that looks like it is also on Sunday Night Football. So you get another Sunday Night Football there, primetime game there for the San Francisco 49ers. That's the 3rd primetime game, if I'm not mistaken. You have Sunday night, week 3, Monday night, week 4, and now Sunday night again, week 10, NBC against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one, and I can't wait to talk about that one. But in week 11, the 49ers head to Mexico City, and they're going to be playing the Arizona Cardinals. This one has already been revealed earlier in the week. It's going to be at Azteca Stadium, so that's going to be an exciting one. That's Monday night, November 21st on ESPN.
Correct, Ant. Correct there. That's an Azteca Stadium, another Monday night game, back-to-back primetime games. And then week 12 at home against the Saints, November 27th, 1:25 p.m. start on Fox, probably another game that could be the game of the week, Ant, seeing potentially two teams with some quarterback situations and the questions there.
Yeah, and in Week 13, they welcome Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, and the arm that just can't get the ball far enough to Tyreek Hill.
Big yikes.
December 4th at 1:05 p.m. on Fox, the 49ers host the Dolphins.
Very true. The 49ers will host the Dolphins there. Interesting there, Week 13 coming this late in the season. You got Week 14 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, Drew, buckle up, get ready, because you and I are going to be having a lot of fun that week and a lot of trash talk. I already know that's going to be happening. December 11th, 1:25 p.m. on Fox there as well, Ant. And then we get a Week 15 matchup that's a little bit easier. And actually, kind of back-to-back games there that potentially could be easier for the Niners.
Yeah, I think Week 15 against the Seahawks could be a nice matchup for the 49ers. This might be a time the Niners are able to go in there and beat Seattle in Seattle, and Drew Lock, we'll see what he does there. But it's December 15th at 5:15 p.m. That's a Thursday night game on Prime Video. So it's the 49ers are going to make their debut on Prime Video in this season. So that's Week 15 against the Seahawks.
Week 15 against the Seahawks. Week 16, they come back home. They're playing the Commanders on Christmas Eve, folks. So a day early. You don't have to spend your Christmas watching 49ers football. You can spend your Christmas laughing at other teams who are having to play and enjoying your family, because on Christmas Eve, 1:05 p.m. on CBS, you have the Commanders.
And then I know a game that everyone's been circling, the 49ers rivalry with the former Oakland Raiders. Kyle Shanahan guaranteed to say Oakland Raiders at least 25 times during that week.
Very least.
Week 17 at Raiders in Las Vegas on New Year's Day, 1:05 p.m. on Fox. So if you had plans of New Year's Eve in Vegas, the Rush road trip from John Chapman's going to be there. A New Year's Eve celebration. I don't think it worked out any better for 49er fans who want to go spend some time in Vegas. They can spend New Year's Eve there and then go watch the Niners play the Raiders the next day.
Very true, Ant. Very true. That is actually going to be a lit Rush road trip. Have fun with that, John Chapman and all the Countdown crew that showed up for that, because goodness gracious.
That's a good one.
It is. And then you close out the season, Week 18, at home, and at home against those pesky Cardinals. TBD, no actual time set, obviously, because the NFL would like to see what's going on and be able to flex games and put games in certain spots. And they're hoping, that's a juicy matchup there at the end of the season. They can throw in a primetime spot.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that this matchup is going to have playoff implications. They've continually had this work out. The Niners last year against the Los Angeles Rams was for playoff contention. The 49ers were able to get that win. So that's a big one. So now we're going to get to go over this. And, of course, the preseason schedule, the Niners are going to be playing the Packers first, then the Vikings, and then the Texans.
Exactly.
Those are their matchups. And the only one with a date is, of course, the one that's on Prime Video. That's the third preseason matchup against the Texans. And that one's going to be at 5 p.m. on August 25th.
Correct. We're waiting to see what the other times are and what the other things are there in terms of what the Niners are going to be doing. Ernest with a What's Good Niner People, man. Good. Nothing but good right now.
Up?
Because of that. Megan with a big fat no in the chat, obviously, Ant, because we have a pretty big game on Wedding Day. Wedding Day is also a big, important game day.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes against the 49ers may go ahead and take priority. Sorry, Megan.
I won't be saying that, Ant. I don't want to sleep on the couch.
We're going to be doing a 2-minute drill for the nuptials.
A 2-minute drill for the nuptials would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, just follow the hand signals. We're going to get through it expeditiously.
Expeditiously. Look, this is interesting. This is a lot of games here on the docket. A lot of obviously we knew the Niners were going to have a fairly tough schedule here in terms of the opponents they had to play, right? Having to face the NFC West, having to face the AFC West. You knew what you were going to be dealing with potentially some of the teams in the NFC, and you do got some tough NFC matchups. So whether that be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers there towards the end of the season, whether it be a team like the Commanders, who you just don't know if they will have it figured out at this point, and obviously now the Miami Dolphins being a part of this as well, a team that is vastly improved. You got tough games kind of littered all over the schedule. I think the thing I like most before we get into breaking each of these games down is the start, those first two opening games. Because regardless of whatever the situation is at the quarterback position, if it's Trey Lance, those are two nice, solid games to open up with. One on the road against a Chicago Bears team, that we saw last year that he prepped and played against last year. Or he didn't play against, but got to see, the preparation for. And then a Seattle team that is severely weakened, obviously, from the departure of Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I kind of like it, actually. I like the game in Chicago. That's going to be a nice matchup for the 49ers. Plus, you're going to get to see him play against another really good young quarterback in Justin Fields. I think it's a matchup that everyone wanted to see last year on Halloween. The one thing I know about this matchup, it's a game that the 49ers can win. You've got a new regime going on there in Chicago. They're changing some things up. They have some weapons, but the 49ers defense is well equipped to be able to handle Justin Fields. And if all three linebackers are healthy coming there, they're going to be able to stop Justin Fields in a big way. So I do like that matchup, and you're right. Being able to start with those two games that are definitely winnable football games is something that the 49ers need. This reminds me of 2019 when the first two games were very winnable, and they went out and won it, and they got on a nice run to start the season. I'm hoping that that's going to happen again here, and that they're going to get something going and be able to start 2-0. But they're going to have to go ahead and handle business. This is what we talked about a little bit on Cutback Colony yesterday, was handling the games that you need to handle. So winning the games that you should win. On those first two games are games the 49ers absolutely should win. You have to handle those. But I think it worked out very nice for the 49ers with the fact they have a really tough schedule. That's okay. When you start the season the way you do, you're going to be able to get in rhythm and get going.
Correct, Ant. And that's the important thing here is being able to get those things going. And Chicago gives you an opportunity to do that. Not only have you seen this team, but you feel very comfortable with what you can do. It's just about being able to go out and execute said game plan. Yes, it's going to be it's going to be a different team, obviously, because you have different coach, different personnel. They're doing different things now. They are fully on board and rolling with the rookie quarterback, whereas last year there was the hiccups and the back and forth at the quarterback position. But then you turn your attention to week 2 in Seattle, and you have an NFC West opponent there early in the season that's severely weakened. That you have a chip on your shoulder, having lost to said teams twice. So now you get the 2021 taste out of your mouth early, that bad taste out of your mouth, going up against a Seattle team that is on the rebuild, on the trying to reascend and rebuild their identity and who they're going to be. You already know they're going to come in and try and establish a run game and those sorts of things. So you have the preseason and you got week 1 to kind of clean those things up going into week 2, where you're trying to shut down that Seattle run game and make things really difficult on their quarterbacks and make sure that they're the ones putting the ball in the their quarterback's hand to try and win a football game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is not the Seattle Seahawks that we're used to seeing. Russell Wilson has to wait till week 3, and he's in Mile High, and that's a big difference for the 49ers. But I like that Seattle's coming to San Francisco for that first matchup of the season between the 49ers and Seattle, because if it is Trey Lance, I want him to get that, kind of the comfort, level up. And beating one of your division rivals is something that's very important. I'm glad of all the teams that you're going to play in the division that he starts with Seattle. The one I really didn't want him to start with was Arizona, because that was the one that he had some troubles with last year. So we'll wait for that down the road. But going ahead and getting Seattle in week 2 at home, I think is a good situation for the 49ers. And also, it's a normal 1 o'clock time. I want him to get comfortable playing at that 1 o'clock time. He already has to play at 10 when they go to Chicago. That's going to be a little bit different. So I think that's a nice time, a nice place for the 49ers to have week 2. And I think it gives some balance, because hopefully you can win those first 2, because game 3 against Denver in Denver is not going to be an easy thing. I think beating Russell Wilson is always a trouble, and he's got some absolute weapons. They put together a nice team up there in Denver, and that's going to be a complete battle. That's going to be wicked.
True. It's going to be very, very wicked. And JLA Ant ups the membership for 8 months. His 8th month here on the channel. Hey, crew, dealing with some fires in northern New Mexico, so been limited. Sorry, crew. Which game, at Donkeys or at Haters? I'm confused about the question.
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
I'm confused about the question. JLA, help me out here. Help me out, because I'm very confused about the question.
But we are sorry about the fires and that you're dealing with all that, and we have missed you. In fact, I was wondering just the other day, where's JLE? Because JLE is always in chat and always laying it down. So, make it a little bit more clear, and we'll be more than happy to answer it.
Absolutely, and happy to hear you're okay, and happy to hear you're safe. Then we got week 3, Ant. You got week 3. You have the Denver Broncos there, and I saw someone in chat earlier mention and brought up, hey, Broncos are going to be possibly implementing new game plans, implementing, the scheme, what they want to be doing. Maybe they haven't found their rhythm yet at this point in time, and they may be right. But it's still Russell Wilson. This is the problem. This is the problem with the Denver Broncos now, and this team, regardless of new coach, new quarterback, new ideology, trying to make all the pieces fit and mesh together, it's still Russell Wilson, and it's still Russell Wilson against the 49ers, a team that he has always and continually pulled rabbits out of his hat. Even when his team is awful, even when his team should be nowhere near competing in football games against San Francisco. The only difference between Russell Wilson last year and Russell Wilson this year is Russell Wilson this year has a much better team than what we saw in Seattle last year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're going to have something there. and they know they need to win these football games, especially against the San Francisco 49ers, because they play in an AFC West that is absolutely stacked. So this is a game that's a must-win for Denver. In fact, all their games are must-wins. But Russell Wilson is going to have a comfort factor playing against San Francisco. He's going to understand the scheme at which he's going against. The only problem for him is DeMeco Ryans has definitely figured out Russell Wilson. They've been getting after him. True. And I believe if they'd had better quarterback play in the two matchups, they would have won. So if they can get a little bit better quarterback play, they're going to be able to give Denver everything they can handle. And if the 49ers could walk away in week 3 with a victory of the Denver Broncos, I think that's a big game that would help them go a long way, especially if they won the first 2. Starting 3-0, heading into what potentially is a huge matchup against last year's division champion, Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams, is something the 49ers really need to do. You don't want to lose that game in week 3 in primetime and then turn around and hit primetime on Monday night at home against the Rams and lose that. I don't think that is the case, but you definitely want to win the games you can. So Denver is one of the AFC games that I think AFC West games the 49ers really need to come out of Denver with the victory on.
I would agree with you there. This is setting up to be schedule-wise, Ant, very similar to last season where you had 2 opening games that were very winnable and very positive things for 49ers. And that third game was the test game. That was the game that was, a big opportunity, big moment. You'd like to walk away with that with a W, but you don't want to lose it a specific way. And you also want to be kind of coming into your own at that point, really establishing your identity. The Niners weren't that going into week 3 last year against Green Bay. And in fact, that game kind of was the spiral for everything that happened the rest of the way. So if you can walk out of that Denver game in Denver, in Mile High, in the altitude there with a win with your young quarterback, 3 games in and you're 3-0, you're feeling very good going into week 4 against a Rams team that you beat in the regular season 2 times already the previous season, and you get them again now week 4 early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, really what the Rams have to hang their hat on is they got the 49ers when it mattered the most in that NFC Championship game.
True.
But they only got them by 3, and the 49ers have played the Rams tough consistently over the last few years. Shanahan knows what McVay is about. The fact that Von Miller is not going to be playing for the Rams, I think, is going to be a huge minus for the Rams, and that could hurt them a lot when they play San Francisco. Potentially, Trey Lance will have his footing underneath him after playing these first 3 games against some, easier opponents, and then maybe a really tough opponent in Denver. He may be really ready to go for this Los Angeles game. I'm excited about the fact that when you're playing them, it's at home, and I do love the 49ers playing in primetime. Monday Night Football is going to be lit up, and that's why the reason the NFL scheduled this for Monday Night Football. They know all eyes are going to be on this game. Santa Clara is going to be lit, and I'm looking forward to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers going out there and giving the Rams everything they can handle. I hope that Bobby Wagner's ready to stop a whole bunch of big old 215-pound running backs. You're about to see it 40 times a game.
A lot of times a game.
Yeah.
And Blind Vision just put something up there. It said Jerry Jeudy apparently just got arrested, and apparently that is. I did not know that.
Yeah, he got arrested for, second-degree...
Tampering. Criminal tampering.
Yeah, he basically got involved in some sort of domestic dispute.
Alrighty.
So I didn't know there was a second degree, but there is.
I knew criminal tampering was a thing. I just didn't know there were degrees.
Yeah, I didn't know there was.
I thought if you just tampered, right, it's just tampering.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know, and so that was something interesting. So I don't know what that means criminally. I don't know what if that means he's going to get if it's a misdemeanor or anything like that. I have a feeling this thing is going to get worked out.
Usually does.
Yeah,
it usually does. But that Rams game, man, you're not wrong. That Rams game, Bobby Wagner better have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Just in general, just in general. But then week 5, at the Panthers, at Carolina. The game that was leaked to be one of the first 2 games of the season is not. It's actually nice, right? You got a couple easy ones. You got some tough games there sandwiched, and then sandwiched with some games that are supposed to be winnable football games against teams that are definitely questions around. Week 5, you got Carolina at Carolina. Questions at the quarterback position, questions at other things. Was the NFL secretly hoping, Ant, that Jimmy was going to get dealt to Carolina so they could put this right smack dab in the middle after Russell Wilson reuniting, a Rams rematchup, right? They've played 2 NFC West opponents, and then they were hoping Jimmy's in Carolina and you get that rematch there as well?
It could be. The one thing I know is I'm hoping I can sing "Hello, Sam Darnold, my old friend."
Yes.
Sam Darnold is
time to see those ghosts again.
The perfect kind of quarterback that you want to see after those big 2 primetime matchups. He's a guy that will throw into coverage. He's a guy that you can sack, even though he's tremendously athletic. He's a guy you can get after and you can confuse, and that's a DeMeco Ryans kind of game. I don't think that's a good matchup for Carolina. I don't think Matt Corral is going to be ready to roll. This is going to be the 49ers going in there and taking care of business. So I like this matchup, especially after 2 tough games against Denver. and then against the Rams. I think you're coming in with 2 easier matchups in week 5 and 6. These are definitely where you want to be. Now, this is the time, and I kind of alluded to this when we were first reading through the schedule, this will be the time the 49ers probably stay on the East Coast. This is the time they'll rally together, and you'll get pictures of Nick Bosa, peeing behind the bleachers and all that stuff.
And Packers fans legitimately calling for this man to get suspended.
Yeah, so
arrest him now.
Yeah, and I seen James Sparrow. We'll get to that in 1 second about the Raiders, and we'll kind of give you a quick thing because you probably jumped in late. But yeah, this Carolina game's a winnable matchup, and so is the Atlanta game. Those are 2 matchups that I'm definitely looking forward to, and I think these are ones the 49ers should circle as potential W's on the schedule.
Very true, and they should circle these as W's, and now it's just about taking care of business in said W's, right? You just got to take care of business in those games, and as long as you do that, you're going to be A-okay. So let's scroll this thing down here now to these bottom games down here, and let's find out. We'll take a look at these other games and give some people some other things here. So week 7 is the next one on the docket. Week 7 is the next game on the docket, and it is against the Chiefs. So it is that wonderful wedding day game at Niners Chiefs. You're at home, which I do love about this.
Yeah.
I love the 1:23 p.m. start. So, you get prime time game there right in the afternoon. At home, I feel really good about this game and the situation. I don't know what the Chiefs' schedule is, so I'm going to try and pull that up so I get an idea of what the Chiefs have had to run through up until this point. But coming off of, yes, you're coming off of a East Coast sort of trip and coming back to the West Coast, but you're coming back to the West Coast at home, late start time, after 2 games, which were hopefully a little bit easier prep-wise for you. And you have time to kind of build and get that momentum going for this matchup against a Chiefs team that is a lot to prove, but also less weapons than they've had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely getting a different, team in the Kansas City Chiefs. They've went through and moved on from some players that they had. Sammy Watkins is not there. Of course, Tyreek Hill is not there. But they've went ahead and restocked as well. MVS has now walked into that room, and he's going to be taking the ball, deep down the field, and Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be there catching first downs. So they went ahead and changed up what this wide receiver group looks like. But this game is scary to me because you're coming off the big East Coast swing with 2 winnable football games, and you got the Rams on the horizon. So anytime that happens, I think this is one that stands out to me as a really tough game for the 49ers to win. Luckily, it's at home. So hopefully you can catch Kansas City in a bad situation as well. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but if they're coming off tough games, and maybe the 49ers, can give them all they can handle. But I think there are players, and especially this coaching staff, that haven't forgotten about Kansas City and what they did to them in the Super Bowl, and they're going to want to get after them. But it's another one of those AFC matchups, AFC West matchups, that if you can win, it definitely is going to put you over the top, with your overall record, and that's what you have to do because the AFC West games are some of the toughest games. That's the reason the 49ers schedule is so tough, because they're playing the AFC West.
Oh my Lord Almighty! And chat, you probably just saw my face. Let me read off to you the Kansas City Chiefs start of the season. Are you ready for this? Week 1 at Arizona versus the Chargers. Week 2 at Indianapolis. Week 3 at Tampa Bay. Week 4 versus the Raiders. Week 5 versus the Bills. Week 6 at San Francisco.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a lot better about this.
I feel really good about the placement of that game. Holy crap, what an opening of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, so now I feel better about the 49ers coming off the East Coast swing and getting to play the Kansas City Chiefs. I like that a lot, actually. So this is nice. That's a good thing for sure.
True. David Green over on Facebook, and this is not the same 49ers from last year. We have way more depth than before. Yep. Every game on the schedule is very winnable with who we are. We finish with a minimum 13 wins as long as we stay healthy. I like that, David.
Yeah, I like David Green's optimism for sure. I mean, when you're looking at it, I haven't really got into the schedule as far as like picking wins and losses.
Correct.
But starting to see where they, where they situate in the schedule, and just like what you brought up with what Kansas City is going to be facing before the Niners, it definitely makes you feel a little bit better, because normally when you've seen that situation, you looked at this game and thought, wow, this could be a tough one. And it's still going to be a tough one, but the 49ers definitely are sitting in a better situation than I thought they were.
Yeah, definitely a much better situation than I think a lot of people thought they were going to be in. And now, look, week 8. We turn your attention to week 8. You're at the Rams. You're at Levi South. And you're basically at home on back-to-back weeks. That's always great. You're just traveling, a few hours down to Levi South there. And you got yourself a matchup with the Rams. And like you talked about earlier, right? In the first 8 weeks, you're playing the Rams twice. So you're getting them out of the way early. No drama with the Rams at the end of like you did at the end of last season. going to be very interesting, that game, just based off how, number one, how the season starts for San Francisco and how they play through these first 7 games of the season, but also, what are the Rams looking like? Because the Rams, coming off the Super Bowl, they're a Super Bowl contending team who've made some moves and traded for some pieces and brought guys in. They signed Allen Robinson. They did a lot of that stuff, but you lost Von Miller. You haven't really replaced with that top end edge rusher or even another interior defensive lineman to help rush alongside Aaron Donald. There are definitely questions still with the secondary and what you're going to be doing out there in space. So they still have some holes that they need to get filled.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting matchup, and I think I'm kind of interested in why the NFL scheduling decided to have the Rams and the 49ers play both games within the top 8 weeks. You would think that they'd want to have one of these games later in the season with how dynamic the rivalry was last year and what it meant to the playoffs and overall what it meant to the overall getting into the Super Bowl. So this is a little surprising. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad we don't have to see the Rams after week 8. Let's get them out of the way. They're probably the toughest team in the division that the 49ers are going to have to play. So if they're able to walk away from this first 8 weeks and they're 3-0 in the division, good luck to everyone else. I mean, that means that the 49ers are ready to go. And we know that one of their matchups against Arizona is in Mexico City. So they're really not playing a road game against Arizona. I think that one's going to be more even. It's an interesting schedule for the 49ers and maybe one that works out very well for them. I'm excited so far. But that Rams game is going to be fun to watch because the Niners are going to want the payback. You had, Charles Omenihu kept saying, we ain't finished yet and all that stuff, or we ain't done yet. And then the Rams started mocking that after they won. So there's going to be something to it. And the Niners are going to get after the Rams in a big way. I'm excited for these games. I want to see the Niners smoke the Rams this year.
I want to see that too, Ant. That game will be a little bit tougher. The Rams will be coming off of a bye the week before in week 7. So the Niners will have Chiefs. They'll be coming off the 2-game away stretch. You're going home for one against the Chiefs, then traveling to Los Angeles, who's sitting there waiting for you, prepping for you. They got the additional week of preparation there for the 49ers at home.
They can prep for 9 weeks. It ain't going to help them.
It's true. It is.
I'm just kidding.
Hopefully it's not going to help. I really hope not. The Rams got a pretty favorable schedule to start the season off as well. And other than that Bills opener, they have the Falcons. They do have to play the Cardinals and the Niners.
Yeah.
They play the Niners twice, the Cardinals once in those first 8 weeks. They also have the Cowboys and the Panthers. So a little bit of a test and a challenge there. I don't know if it's the same as San Francisco, but they will be sitting coming off of a bye at that point in time. And then the Niners, week 9, Ant, we get that midseason bye. That's nice.
Yeah, I do like the midseason bye, and I think that's one thing that could actually help the 49ers against the Rams, knowing the bye is coming. When you know that bye is coming, you're going to be willing to push it, give it a little bit, more than you normally would, potentially because the next week you're going to be able to rest. What I also like is the fact that you're getting a rest in the middle of the season, with the season being so long, and you want these byes to come later. And the 49ers bye last year was not very good for them. And so I like the middle of the way bye, and I think that's going to be beneficial to the 49ers and their health. So I do really like where the bye happened, even though I would have preferred it to be on October 23rd. But since it isn't,
not gonna lie, Megan also probably prefers the 23rd.
So I mean, obviously our influence is not good enough with the NFL yet, but we're going to continue to work on that and see if we can fix that down the road.
Accurate. And Elizabeth, how are you doing, Elizabeth? I hope you're having a good day.
Hey, what's up, Elizabeth?
Week 10, Ant. Week 10, the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Intriguing matchup because you got 2 talented young quarterbacks with big, fantastical, huge cannons for arms.
Fantastical.
Speedy wide receivers abound in aplenty. The Chargers obviously have big old tank Mike Williams out there as well. Tight end play from them at times a little bit suspect. But it's going to be an interesting matchup just because the AFC West has done a lot defensively, offensively. Every team in that conference, every team in that division has loaded up on talent on both sides of the football. So it's going to be a test. It is a full-blown test for the San Francisco 49ers on primetime at home. The only nice thing is that you have a full bye week to prep for said test.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And what's up, Shooter? It's going to be a long bye week because it's a game later on. It's a Sunday Night Football game. But also it was LA, bye, LA, or home against an LA team. It's an easy trip. So I do really like that. But Justin Herbert's no joke. No. This guy's absolutely fantastic. Derwin James, Joey Bosa, the defense for the Chargers. Anyone that saw anything coming out of those joint practices last year know that the Chargers absolutely laughed at Jimmy Garoppolo. And so they were getting after the 49ers in a big way, and the Niners, didn't like that very much. So if that's going to carry on into this year, I kind of like that. But that's San Diego. That Los Angeles team is really good. The Chargers are going to be good, and they're playing in a tough division. but this is a game the 49ers can go out there and win. I know they got tough weapons all over the place, but I do like coming off the bye, the potential of the 49ers being able to beat the Chargers, but it's going to be one heck of a battle.
It's going to be a heck of a battle, and you're going to need to make sure you establish that run game. You're going to make sure you're going to have to make sure you can keep your quarterback upright, whether it's Jimmy, whether it's Trey. I think we're all hoping it's Trey. Whoever the quarterback is back there needs to be upright for that football game because they are going to be getting after the quarterback in a hurry.
Yeah, and Paul Sanders says our offensive line will have to play very well against the Chargers.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's the case. Joey Bosa and those guys, they're going to be able to bring pressure. They got good edge rushers there. They got a very good football team. That's not going to be an easy game to win. And it's a defense, a philosophy the 49ers are used to because, that's what the Rams used to run. So the Niners are going to be very equipped with handling this, but it's not tough matchups for the 49ers at all.
Blind Vision going with Chargers will win. 95% sure that they're going to win, but go Niners.
Hey, so you're telling me there's a chance. I'll take that 5%.
It's true. Android user with a nice little thing in here. Anthony Lynn kind of knows their scheme. Well, different coaching staffs, right, in terms of what they may be doing, but knows personnel at least. Yeah,
what they do know is what Brandon Staley likes to do on defense.
Agreed.
That's the one thing that Kyle Shanahan's going to have going for him, and the fact that really they've underwhelmed. The Chargers haven't been one of those teams that's consistently been able to win football games. Maybe this is their year. This is going to be their second year under Staley, and I expect Justin Herbert to keep ascending, but. I'm not going to count on our defensive line being able to get after Justin Herbert, too, because Justin Herbert ain't going to be throwing very well if he's on his back, and that's what's important.
Agreed. David Green just brought it up also. Bosa versus Bosa. Very exciting. That is very exciting. Ernest asked, do you think Bosa brothers are going to be talking crap to each other all week? You know it. 100% they're going to be talking crap to each other, especially with the bye week. Nick's going to have all of the time, all of the free time to just lay down the weekend of smack talk beforehand.
Yeah, it's going to be an excellent matchup, and I am very excited for it. I think Bosa versus Bosa is something fun to watch. There was visions there for a couple years about Bosa and Bosa together. That's not going to happen, but I think that Nick Bosa is going to want to get the better of his brother, and there's going to be a lot of sibling rivalry going on there.
Very, very true, Ant. The Chargers schedule opens up the year with Vegas, with the Raiders, the Chiefs, Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland, Denver, Seattle, a week 8 bye. They have Atlanta the week before. They're at Atlanta, and then they are coming to San Francisco. So that's a little bit of a cross-country trip there, traveling on the road. So not going to be very easy on the Chargers.
That's the only part, though. I think that schedule's pretty relaxed for the Chargers. That's a nice start to their season. So, the 49ers are going to have to be ready, but they are coming off a bye week, and there's something to be said about the Niners coming off a bye week. Potentially, they'll be ready for the Chargers. Hopefully, they can get a big win because they got Arizona the next week in Mexico City, and so that's going to be a big matchup. That's prime time as it gets. Monday Night Football in Mexico City. All eyes are going to be on San Francisco versus Arizona. I do like the fact Arizona loses a road game. Loses the home game. They would have had 9 home games. This time they have 1 in Mexico City.
True.
So that's a little bit easier for the 49ers. I do like this matchup. I think the Niners can win, and I think Trey Lance can ascend. Trey Lance kept the 49ers in the game, against Arizona, and maybe this time he'll be able to get the victory. This is going to be a fun one to watch, though.
Agreed with you there, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that one. It's going to be a lot of fun to check that one out. One more question. We'll do one more question here. We'll hit D-Will's mark. I'll get to yours here in a little bit. D-Will says, what is the over-under for total Bosa sacks in that game against the Chargers? I'm assuming we're going both Bosas.
Yeah.
Both Bosas.
I'm going under 4, I think is the mark I would say.
Okay. All right,
because I don't really want to see Joey Bosa against Mike McGlinchey. Do you?
No.
I sure as heck hope the 49ers get the run game going. Can we get TDP running over Joey Bosa? Let's do that. Because I'm kind of worried about Joey Bosa. I have another thought. Let's just keep Kyle Juszczyk around Joey Bosa.
That's also smart.
Yeah, wherever Joey Bosa goes, have 44 attached to his hind end.
Is there a good chance that we're going to see a lot of blocking George Kittle against the Chargers?
I hope not. I hope we're seeing George Kittle against Derwin James. That's the matchup I want to see.
That is a good matchup.
And if he's worried about him, then that means he's not paying attention to Danny Gray. But they got a very good defense with the Chargers. The Chargers are a good football team, and they kept adding and stockpiling talent the entire time. This ain't going to be easy. This is going to be one heck of a matchup.
That it is, Ant. That it is. And then week 11, we head down to Mexico City to Azteca Stadio. I don't know how they pronounce it, but Aztec Stadium down there in Mexico City. And for the Cardinals, 49ers Cardinals on ESPN Monday Night Football. That one is going to be a lot of fun. Also, though, 7,000 feet of elevation, that's going to suck. But you are playing in elevation earlier in the year in Denver, so you're getting a little bit of that acclimation period and that training process and sort of what it's going to feel like. So it's a good prep earlier in the season against Denver in Mile High. Then you get Week 11 at home, I guess, versus the Cardinals. Interesting game there. It's an interesting matchup. A lot will be on the line. It's the first of their two matchups, obviously, with the last one coming at the end of the season in Week 18.
Yeah, I think this is actually a good situation for the 49ers. Being that high in elevation, you're going to need a lot of breaks. You know, the 49ers have a lot of depth, and they also have guys that are going to be running the football, down your throat consistently. You're going to have running backs that are going to keep getting it done. So I'm excited about this opportunity because I think running the football 40 times will definitely wear down Arizona. That'll make it tough to play at that elevation. So I'm definitely excited for this matchup, and I think it's a good matchup for the 49ers, and the location works out very well for them.
That it does, Ant. That it does indeed. And look, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in said football game. It's also going to be interesting to see where the Cardinals are at, because what have we seen? What have we seen about the Arizona Cardinals, Ant? They have collapsed in the second half of football seasons. Week 11, you're starting to get to said second half of football season. Have they started off hot and are starting that downward decline, or will they have finally figured out the second half oogie boogie boogaloos, whatever it is that's causing their issues in the second half of football seasons? We're going to get to see.
Yeah, and I seen the question about the primetime games. I'm pretty sure it was 5. I'm pretty sure there's 5 primetime games for the 49ers.
Let me see right here. And we got week 3 against the Broncos, week 4 against the Rams, week 10 against the Chargers, week 11 against the Cardinals, and then week 15 against Seattle. That is a primetime game on Thursday Night Football. So, yes, 5 in total.
The full docket, 5 games is what you're allowed to get, and the 49ers got it. Not shockingly, especially if you look at the numbers of what they did in the playoffs as far as viewership. The 49ers are must-see TV.
What is the number of times, under the number of times the commentators will call both Bosa's Joey? Let's go 15.5.
I'm going to go every time. They're just going to give up at some point.
It's one of those Bosa brothers. It's one of those darn Bosa brothers.
Well, it's on ESPN, so it'll probably be okay because it's going to be Buck and Aikman. So just don't listen to that broadcast. Go ahead and listen to something else. That's god awful.
Very true, and it's not great.
I don't know if the Mannings are doing that thing. I won't watch the Niners game. I can't watch the Mannings. I can't. So I guess I'm gonna have to listen to Aikman and Buck.
You are gonna have to listen to Aikman
because I ain't listening to Papa.
Week 12, and they got the Saints. They got the Saints at home. This is the game that has been fireworks every time the Niners and Saints have gotten together the last few years. A lot of big things happening, whether it was the Niners winning a close one, the Saints pummeling the Niners the year that they were not very good, but Drew Brees going out with some fractured ribs and some big hits. A lot of things happen in these football games. Week 12, you're at home, November 27th, 1:25 start. I'm actually excited about this game just because of, in the past, how well these two teams have played together, but this is a different Saints regime than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, it's going to be a different thing. You're going to have Jameis Winston, probably being the quarterback if he's healthy. So the 49ers are going to have to go in there and handle him. And he's got a strong arm and a live arm. If he's able to get the ball down the field, he's going to be able to make things happen. But I like this matchup for the 49ers. I think they're a good football team. Don't get me wrong. I think they have a really good defense, a really solid linebacker group, and some secondary guys that can get it done. But I like this matchup. The fact that it's going to be in Santa Clara is one of the reasons. Finally, the 49ers don't go to New Orleans for one of these football games. But the 49ers have proven that they've been able to compete at a high level against New Orleans in New Orleans. And I expect that to continue in San Francisco. I think this is a nice matchup. And it's it's not a long trip for the 49ers to go to Mexico City and then come back. So
no,
it won't be too much travel for them. I like the matchup overall.
Agreed with you there. The Saints schedule up to this point, and D. Will has just become a channel member. Shout out D. Will. All the tummy rubs for you, my guy. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Cutback crew.
Thanks so much, D. Will. Appreciate it.
The Saints schedule, week 1 at Atlanta, then they have Tampa in week 2 at home, at Carolina versus the Vikings in London week 4. So they travel to London, they have the London game. Then week 5, they're back at home versus Seattle, then home in week 6 against the Bengals, at the Arizona Cardinals versus the Raiders week 8, versus Baltimore week 9, at Pittsburgh week 10, versus the Rams week 11, and then at San Francisco. So a little bit of back and forth there, and they don't have a bye week till week 14.
Yeah, they're going to be going through it then.
Agreed.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be feeling it. And so I do like that overall. I think that works out well for the 49ers, and the Niners are going to need some of those because they're going to have some back-to-back, tough games, and the Chargers and Cardinals are back-to-back really tough games.
Extremely tough games, and extremely tough games there on the docket for those teams and for the New Orleans Saints. Let's take a look at the next batch of games there, which is the home stretch, and we're on the home stretch now. We can see there Week 13 versus the Dolphins, December 4th, 1:05 p.m. A game that a lot of 49ers fans are going to have to get circled. They're going to have this one circled. It's McDaniels back in San Francisco. It's a Dolphins team that is loaded with talent. And the only real question is can Tua Tagovailoa get the job done at the quarterback position? Raheem Mostert making his return as well to Santa Clara. So a lot of things on the line there, and I'm assuming a lot of high emotions.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup because it's going to be the first time that McDaniel is going to face Kyle Shanahan, and there's going to be a battle of wits there. The one thing I know is Kyle Shanahan usually does pretty well against guys who have been a part of his system. Now, he doesn't have complete control over them like Bill Belichick does. Belichick owns his assistants for the most part, but Kyle Shanahan does very well. But I think McDaniels is going to come in. He's trying to turn that program around. But the thing is going to be, can the 49ers get after Tua Tagovailoa?
True.
And if the Niners can get after Tua and force him to run to his right, if they force him to run to his right, not only will he not get the ball to Tyreek Hill, he'll probably get it to a lot of 49ers players because he struggles with that a little bit. But this is going to be a fun matchup to watch. I like this matchup overall. The fact that I have Dolphin fans in the family makes it a lot more exciting.
True.
And I know you have a lot of friends that are Dolphin fans as well. So
also accurate.
This is going to be a good one. And I think that it's going to be a fun chess match because a lot of the conversation after Mike McDaniel left was he the real master behind the 49ers offense? I guess we're going to find out, won't we?
We are definitely going to find out in a huge way there, Ant. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, they got themselves a little bit of a challenge there. They open up the year at home versus New England. Then they have Baltimore. They're at the Ravens. Then at home versus the Bills. And then Cincinnati. That's your first 4 games to open up the season. That's a nice murderer's row of opponents there with a lot of things to prove and a lot of teams that are trying to remain in said playoff hunt. Not to mention the fact, Ant, that after that they have the New York Jets, so you have a Saleh v. McDaniels sort of meet up and rematch there. But Week 11, they are coming off of a bye. Then they're at home versus Houston and then coming to San Francisco. So a little bit of a nice little, I guess, break or stretch there at the first part of that. And it looked like we got a super chat as well, did we not?
Yeah, Jag with the super chat. $5 super chat from Jag says, at TCC, go 4-2 versus division, 2-2 versus the AFC West. Top 2 NFC teams, Bucs, Saints, win versus the Falcons and Fins. That leaves us at 10-7. That's enough for the playoffs.
They're not wrong there.
So Jags is doing his numbers. He's making he's making his predictions right now, and he's got the 49ers going 10-7 and believes that's good enough to make the playoffs. CBS would like to beg to differ with you, as they didn't have the 49ers making the playoffs. But I think 10-7. I haven't been able to break down this schedule, all the way down. And I seen David Hasselhoff ask us if we're going to give predictions. We might do a little bit of that and get into it a little bit, but I mean, it is nice to see who these teams are going to be playing, what matchups they're going against, and not just the schedule overall, who the 49ers are going to be playing.
I mean, we could give you a blind looking at the schedule and picking teams, right? But if we don't know when they're traveling, who they're playing when they're on the road, what's leading up to all these other games, it's really hard to get a better feel for it at that point in time. So one thing at a time. Maybe we'll give some predictions of a few games that we're feeling here towards the end of this. I did see... I forget who it was, and someone came through with a glorious Will Mostert be healthy. It was Shooter. Shooter said, will Mostert be healthy at this point of the season here in Week 13? It's a solid question, Shooter. I don't know. I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket.
I don't think there's any guarantees he's going to be healthy, and I don't think there's going to be any guarantees Tua Tagovailoa is going to be healthy.
Also true.
Injury concerns all over the place there, so we'll see what happens. It might be backup quarterback central for the Dolphins at some point. You talked about their murderer's row to start the season. It ain't going to be easy. But I'm sure Raheem would love to be out there.
Agreed.
And I would love to see Fred chasing him down. I think that would be an exciting matchup to watch.
Definitely would. And then Week 14 at home versus the Bucs, a game that Megan said apparently we're going to. I'm stunned by this. I was unaware that we had made plans to go to said football game, seeing as we're getting married this year. But hey, apparently, Ant, we're getting married and going to a football game. I wonder if it's because Tom Brady is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback.
Interesting. So you guys are going to be going to
I wonder.
Potentially going to see Tom Terrific play.
I won't be going for that purpose.
Yeah, get out the checkbooks. That's not going to be a cheap one there. That's going to be expensive. And Tom Terrific coming back to the Bay Area once again, this time with Tampa Bay, and potentially even more aggression, even more of a chip on his shoulder. The only thing missing from this matchup would have been Jimmy Garoppolo versus Tom Brady.
True.
That would have been very exciting, but now you're going to get the young cat, the Trey Lance, Maybe this is one of those times where you're like, okay, let's see what Trey can do against the GOAT. I think it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and I think Tampa Bay is going to have a tough schedule, but they're definitely going to be, ready to roll. And this is going to be one of those fun games. You're getting into December, so everything's about the playoffs. This is when the games really mean a lot. And if the 49ers could walk away with a nice win over Tampa Bay, that would be huge. That would be really big for their season.
Correct. And look, let's not forget the fact that the Niners went out and addressed the thing that they needed to address for a game like this, Ant, which is the very talented wide receiving core that is in Tampa Bay. You need in these type of games, you need the upgrade at the wide receiver at the cornerback position because of a guy like Tom Brady and how quick he can get the football out. You've now addressed that to be able to handle teams like this, or just handle when teams like the Rams. What did we see last year with him and Cooper Kupp? When they get into that rhythm passing game between him and Kupp, it is dangerous. It's hard to stop, and they put themselves in very manageable third down, second down situations to be able to continue moving the sticks, keep their defense off the football field by going out and improving the cornerback room the way you have if you're San Francisco. You're now putting yourself in better positions and better opportunities to be able to get these offenses that at times rely on the high-powered Ant, but at times want to push and stretch the field. All right, when you guys want to be tempo and rhythm, we got the guys that can lock that down. And when you want to try and take the shots deep down the middle of the field, when you want to take time in the pocket, we got the horses up front that can get after you.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way they built the defense. And that's one of the reasons they're going to have an opportunity, like was said earlier. They're going to have an opportunity to win all these games because anytime that you have a defense that can play like that, you're in football games. You just have to have the offense convert on certain situations. So being able to put the back in with this front seven that they have built, which is the best front seven in football, it's going to be fun to watch. 49ers are going to be able to take away those rhythm passes like you talked about, because that was some of the things that they were doing to them. They were dinking and dunking, including the Rams. The Rams were taking those shots early, and then it eventually, once the 49ers had to creep to take those things away, they were able to take more shots. But I think you're right. I think this is one of the reasons the 49ers, targeted going after these defensive backs. And yeah, David Green's the one that brought it up earlier about going 13-4. So
true.
I'm going to give him credit for it. And I think that the 49ers can do a lot of different things on defense, and that's going to help them on offense. But when it comes down to it, the offense is going to have to convert the third downs. Those third and shorts are going to be so pivotal. And if Trey Lance can convert those, 49ers are going to win a lot of football games this year.
Yeah, you not wrong, Ant. You ain't wrong about that. They really can. And then we have our last primetime game of the season, Ant. Well, I guess last primetime game for now, because in theory, could Week 18 be a primetime? Even though they've had 5, that one could still, in theory, be a primetime game. So as of right now, the last scheduled primetime game, Week 15 at Seattle, Thursday night football, prime football. Someone had asked earlier, is Richard Sherman calling the game? I would say that if they could do that, they would 100% want that, because you have a guy with ties to both organizations calling that game. But a huge game there at Seattle, where, again, if Trey Lance is your starting quarterback, you played Seattle at home early in the season. Now you get to go to a place that has been nightmarish for quarterbacks when that place is rowdy. I don't know if it'll be the same, if the 12 will show up the same way this year and this time around, but it's still going to be a challenge there on the road in Seattle, coming off of the Dolphins and coming off of the Bucs game.
Yeah, I'm sure they really would like to have have Richard Sherman calling this game. You could also call this the John Lynch game, because he turned down all the money to be able to call these games. He wanted to be continuing to be the GM of the 49ers, but this is going to be a huge matchup. Because I think, depending on how the 49ers sit, going into this game, it could be very important for them to win, not to mention exercise some of the demons of just beating Seattle in Seattle. Pete Carroll's going back to basics. He's going back to running the football. He's going back to his cover 3 defense with big, tall, long guys in the secondary. So the 49ers know what they're going to see. They know what matchups they're going to be going against, but it's definitely a young team that they're going against Seattle. Drew Lock doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the ability that Russell Wilson has. I think the 49ers are going to have some ability to get after him. And I wonder how Kerry Hyder is going to feel. If Kerry Hyder makes this 53-man roster, and he's able to go up there to Seattle, I think he's going to be willing to get after them and show them that, hey, this is what happens when you know how to use my skill set, when you know how to put me in good situations to be successful. So I'm excited for that game. I'm always excited for that because, just like in Seattle, the 49ers always compete.
They do. They always compete, and we're just hoping to see more than just competing, but just absolute dominance and destruction of Seattle. I want to put Seattle in the ground, right? Put them 6 feet under. Let's really make them force their hand into this rebuild. Like, if they've kind of like dipped their toe in a rebuild, let's like show them, hey, no, you either get right, either crap or get off the pot. You're either going to rebuild or you're going to drag this on for another 10 years and then decide to rebuild and you'll be awful for 20.
I do like what Marvin said right here. The really good thing is Richard Sherman cannot hold the 49ers receivers.
This is accurate.
Yeah.
He can't. He can't do it, Ant. He can't do it. He can hold them. No, he can't hold them.
No, he can't even hold them anymore. It's
nothing.
nice. It's not the Legion of Boom and all they're holding.
It's true. It's glorious.
Don't go look at their criminal records now.
Yikes! I did see that tweet, Ant. I did see that tweet. Not solid. Week 16, Ant. The commies are coming to town. TCC. The commies are coming to Santa Clara. They will be here with their quarterback who beat Jimmy Garoppolo last year in a monsoon, atmospheric river game in Santa Clara. It was glorious. Well, he's coming back to town with his new comrades, and they're going to be taking on the San Francisco 49ers and ideally, most likely, Trey Lance there on Christmas Eve. Hopefully an early Christmas present for the people of San Francisco, Santa Clara, and they can take out the commies.
Yeah, hopefully. Carson Wentz, what's up? We want to get you back for that Philadelphia game from a couple years ago. And Nick Mullins won't be playing quarterback. You're going to have to
Also
deal
true.
with a completely different animal, and I think the Niners are going to be able to get him. Carson Wentz has beat the 49ers two times in the last couple of years. Once with the Eagles, once with the Colts. We got to stop this from happening. This is just not happening. The jacket he wore at his presser was absolutely ridiculous. You can't come into Santa Clara looking like that and expect to win. We're going to get after him in a big way, and I think this is going to be a good matchup for the 49ers, and I do like the time of the game when it's going to be 1:05 here in Santa Clara, and I have questions. I wonder if we're going to get Tony Romo. Is Romo going to be calling this game? If we could get Romo, I'd be super excited. But yeah, anytime that Kyle Shanahan is gearing up to go ahead and play Dan Snyder and the commies, he's going to be excited about potentially getting the win.
That's true. I mean, there's just bad blood there, right? With the Shanahans and the whatever the Washington team's name is, whether it's the Redskins, whether it's the football team, or whether it's now the Commanders. There is bad blood there, and I'm all for bad blood, and it seems to bring out the best in Kyle Shanahan, and the Niners tend to play very, very well against this team under Kyle Shanahan's tenure. So let's get ourselves another win there at home against this team, leading into that Week 17 game and leading to the New Year's Day game. New Year's Day in Vegas against the Raiders. Rivalry renewed, and over-under on Kyle Shanahan calling the Raiders the Oakland Raiders. Let's set it right now at 3.5.
You think only 3.5?
I'm going to say only 3.5.
I'm going way over.
You're going way over?
Yeah, I don't even think it's... he might hit 3.5 in one single interview process.
You think so?
Yeah.
You really think so?
He just stuck on them being Oakland, and I think the fact that Gruden's gone now, it's just going to be Oakland no matter what. He's just going to be consistent with that. I'm sure the people from... the PR group from the San Francisco 49ers would love for him to stop saying that because they keep plugging faithful to the Bay. They want everyone to know the Raiders aren't there, but he's going to continue to do that. But this is going to be a fun matchup, and the fact that it's coming on New Year's Day is going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of 49er fans that are going to be willing to go out and party in Vegas on New Year's Eve and then be there for this game, and I think that it's going to be a crazy atmosphere out there.
Sure.
Niners versus Raiders, rivalry renewed. This is one of those things that just doesn't go away no matter how much you think that this isn't an actual rivalry, because growing up, 49ers versus Raiders wasn't a rivalry for me. What was a rival was the Rams, and what was a rival was the Cowboys and the Falcons and the Saints. Like, those were rivals for the 49ers, and I understand that the Raiders, because of where they were, the logistics of where they were located, they were a natural rival, but I get it now. I get it. We're living in Northern California, so Raider fans are all over the place, but
It's true.
if there's a game that I want the 49ers to win, this is one of them for sure. If not, you just never hear the end of it.
No, you will not, and we will not hear the end of it. You know that. I know that.
Yeah.
Jess knows that. Megan knows that. Sherry knows that. The TCC knows that. There's a Raider fan in your life that you won't ever hear the end of this. There's a Raiders fan on Facebook that will never hear the end of this.
Look at Bobo.
I hope the Raiders start Nick Mullins for that game.
Well said.
Hey, I hope so too. I hope Pick Mullins is out there slinging it. He won't be. It'll be Carr.
Yeah, exactly. And Marvin Rose is right. The stadium is really nice there in
the
Las Vegas.
eternal flame.
Yeah. It'll make the 49ers victory more exciting.
It will make the victory more exciting, and it'll make the Rush road trip, which I can guarantee. Did they announce that they would be there for the Raiders game? They said that, right?
They set up dates for every single game, so they're gonna try to be there. John Chapman said the only way he wouldn't be at one of these games if his wife said no.
There you go. So
I don't think she's going to say no.
Hopefully Mrs. Chapman does not say no to that game, because that will be absolutely lit. And New Year's Day in Vegas.
Yeah.
So check out 49ersrushroadtrip.com. Free plug for John there, because he does a great job. And those things are a lot of fun that I hear, Ant. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Week 18. Game with there's a date, but there's no time. No time, Ant. January 8th. TBD. No one knows for sure, but what we do know is it's the Cardinals Week 18 with potentially the NFC West crown on the line, and one heated week of Quest for the West here on the show.
Yeah, that Saturday, you can guarantee those games a few games spread out. That Sunday, every single game is going to be at 1:00. That's just what they do. They did it last year. That way you have to make sure you're ready. So that's something that's going to happen. So there you go. And KNDR.
Up in the membership, man.
Membership, well done.
9 months. Whew. 9 months of the belly rubs.
That's impressive.
It's impressive indeed.
But yeah, I like the fact that they're going to be ending the season against Arizona. I think this is a nice matchup. And I wonder if Cliff Kingsbury and this team is going to be able to actually win football games at the end of the year. So far, they haven't proven it over the tenure of Cliff Kingsbury being there. And Evan might be having to buy us some crumble cookies.
I hope so. I hope Evan's having to buy us some crumble cookies, Ant. And Candy are asking the question that apparently needed to be asked, Ant, with his 9-month super chat. Will there be any bathroom muggings during the Raiders game?
I think it would be shocking if there wasn't. I really do. Anyone that's been to a Raiders game knows something's going to happen. I went to Raiders games. Okay. Something always jumped off. It's a wild time. Raider games are no joke, man. They get after it. There's guarantees when you go to Raider games. At least in Oakland, it was. That's true. Guarantees that you're going to see fights, mostly between Raiders versus Raiders, and you were going to see a streaker. That was going to happen. And the over/under on people passed out that are still there as to this day, 10. Yeah. True. Most of them barely had to walk.
He had to go the extra, right? Not just passed out in the stadium that security had to carry him to their car. They're still there to this day.
They're still there because no one even uses that seating. No one uses it to watch the Raiders. No one uses it to watch the A's. So
big yikes.
There you go. There you go. Fill your stadium.
Yikes, man. Gary there in chat as well.
What's up, Gary?
I mean, this is an incredible schedule. It's an incredible schedule. A lot of big things here. A lot of important games. KNDR said it earlier in the chat. Not a big fan of the Niners-Packers game in the preseason. Not a big fan of that, Ant. But exciting nonetheless. I do like the preseason games that they do have. I think the Green Bay and the Minnesota game, a lot of good tests in that game there. Also, the fact that your third preseason game is the Texans, I think that's a very good dress rehearsal for Trey Lance and a lot of your younger players coming into this roster this year.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a different avenue than they normally go. You don't normally see Green Bay, but I do kind of like Green Bay being one of the preseason matchups, and I'll tell you why. Number one, they're not on the 49ers season schedule. That's number one.
True.
Number two, they're a team that runs a very similar scheme. So your defensive players are going to be used to what they're going to be seeing on offense. So there's going to be a lot of familiarity there. And then if, you have LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan, they could share a little bit of information there. So I do like that overall. But I think Minnesota is another team that's affiliated with the 49ers in the way that they got their general manager and front office staff. They're wanting to do joint practices with the Niners. So this seems very collaborative. It seems like something that the Niners can benefit from. But we all know they learn a lot more from these joint practices than they do these games. The only thing that's exciting about these games is getting to watch the guys that are trying to make this 53-man roster.
Especially in the preseason, that's the most important thing. That's the thing that's going to be kicking things up in full force. Shooter saying, my coworker, who is a Raiders fan, said it's not the same as it was in Oakland. So crowd shifted a little bit.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, the buffet crowd's there now. Well done. Yeah.
Solid buffets, too.
The question, is there one-armed bandits out in the... can you be playing the slots out there in the stadium?
It's true. Paul Saunders, hey, do they tell us where those games are played?
Oh, no. Right now, it does say that. See, the red is home. So Green Bay is home. The other two are on the road. So that's where you guys, Green Bay game at home and then 2 road games for the 49ers in the preseason. I'm still getting used to there only being 3 preseason games.
It's true.
So that's a little bit of an adjustment. And I think here pretty soon, it'll probably be only 2 games.
True. Do you remember the game when the Niners with Jeff Garcia beat the Traders in Oakland, and he took the time to scream face to face with a Trader fan, with Marvin Ross?
Yeah,
Rose.
I do remember that. Jeff Garcia was
savage.
He was a savage. He went after it.
I'm surprised T.O. didn't break down in a press conference and say, "That's my teammate. That's my quarterback." For him,
he wasn't a huge fan of Jeff Garcia.
It's true, he wasn't.
Terrell Owens, not a huge fan of Jeff Garcia, but a huge fan of keeping the lid on the cookie jar of what Deebo Samuel's beliefs and thoughts are about his contracts.
What a segue.
Yeah.
Absolutely non-planned segue. You're welcome, TCC. It's glorious. No, but this whole everything about this season and everything about this season plays out very well for San Francisco. Whether it's the winnable games early, the test in the middle, and then kind of a reprieve, a little bit of a breather before you get another little stretch run. It doesn't feel like they're overextended with tough games, like consistently over and over and over again. I think the thing that maybe people look at towards the end is maybe Saints, Dolphins, Bucks there at the end of the season. But I think even that is broken up. Even if you just take those 3 games, those are broken up with Seattle and Washington there. I don't know if I would necessarily call that Saints game there. Every year, right, in the NFL, there's a handful of teams that don't make playoffs the year before that end up being, the real deal. They end up making those pushes and bumping a couple of those teams out that you thought were bona fide for sure playoff teams that maybe go through some injuries. I think that's going to be the thing to keep an eye on once we get to week 9, week 10, week 11 of the season. Health of some of these teams, who's playing hot and who's not. Very early in the season, it's very easy. We've seen this last few years where a couple teams get really like red hot early in the season, right? Red stinking hot early in the season. Last year was Arizona and it was Baltimore, and then fizzle and fade down the stretch and are basically shells of themselves by the time you get to the end of the season, the playoff run. It'll be interesting to see how the Niners bounce back from last year being a team that started good and then crumbled early and then regained their identity. If they can be maybe a little bit closer to 2019, where you not necessarily come out of nowhere, but stay consistent for 17, 18 weeks.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the schedule kind of lines up nice. I mean, we know they have one of the tougher schedules, top 5 toughest schedule in the NFL.
True.
But the way that they're able to maneuver it could work out for them because you're right. For every, really super tough game, it doesn't go on a stretch where there's like 4 in a row. We read off Kansas City's earlier, and Kansas City has Murderers Row. Miami Dolphins have that as well.
True.
So the 49ers being able to have, 2 winnable football games to start the season and then get Denver and Los Angeles, and then 2 winnable football games with Carolina and Atlanta, and then have 2 tough games with Kansas City and Los Angeles, and your bye week, then 2 tough games, then 2 winnable games, then a tough game, then 2 winnable games. Maybe 3, maybe 4. So I think the schedule is formidable, but I think the 49ers definitely have found some favor in the way that it's been navigated. And I like the fact that they're not traveling all over the place consistently, and they're going to be spending more time, in this area because they are having, more local games. The trip to Denver is not that far, and I like that. So there's some really nice things for the 49ers in part of this schedule.
Very true. Very true. And there's a lot of teams who are going to have tough matchups and tough games. And before we give any sort of like actual schedule predictions, we want to take a look at these other teams and their schedules, when they're set to be playing teams, when they're going to be on the road. Are they on back-to-back road trips? Are they coming off of a bye? Things like that, because all of those things are going to weigh into what's going on with San Francisco and, what their chances are in said games. Last year, we did not feel very good about the Tennessee game, right, early in the season, because Tennessee was going to be coming off of a bye. It was a short trip, short week going across the country. And then some injuries happened, and it was like, hey, man, Tennessee game, feeling great about it. And then obviously it went the way we thought it may go, but just in a different way. So it's going to be interesting. We want to balance those things out. I've seen David Green say, do you feel they should just eliminate the preseason in general, Ant?
I don't, but I think that what they should do is add a extra joint practice. You know what I mean? I think that what they should do is have 2 preseason games, one of them where it's traditionally just, a bunch of the backup guys playing and trying to prove their, part of making this football roster, and then have one game that's a dress rehearsal game. But I do think they should add another joint practice, because that's where you learn a lot about these football players. But the preseason really does give some of these guys the opportunity to come out and flash and make a football team. Undrafted free agents, this is their chance. Emmanuel Mosley was one of those guys. Charvarius Ward, one of those guys that showed up as undrafted free agents and then eventually made the football team. And without the preseason, they may not get that opportunity. So I don't want to outright get rid of it. But I think as the regular season continues to expand, which I believe it will again, to 18 games, I think that'll be the final. That it'll finally get to 18 games, and that way the NFL can optimize the amount of money that they're going to be able to get from these TV deals and expand the playoffs the way that they want. Then they will go down to 2 preseason games, add in a second bye, and take the football season all the way till the end of February, because I think that's what they're working for.
Yeah, it does feel like that's what they're working for there. And looking at the schedule right now, you see all the games. Which game are you the most excited for? Which game are you the least excited for?
I think I'm most excited, and this is it's gonna seem crazy, but I'm most excited for the Bears. The reason I'm most excited for the Bears, that means the season started. And I just want to get this thing rolling. I think I want to see what's going to happen when the 49ers line up in 2022, and potentially if it's a new look, team with Trey Lance at quarterback. I want to see, what that looks like. I want to see how Danny Gray operates and how this defensive line gets after Justin Fields. So that might be the easiest one. As far as matchup, though, I think I'm going to go with the Raiders because just the impact that it's going to have, on the 49er fan base and the Raider fan base. It's going to be one of those games that's going to be highly contested, and there's going to be a lot of conversation going into that. It's kind of like when you play the Cowboys. There's just a lot of energy that goes into it. So 49ers versus Raiders is going to be exciting. The fact it's on New Year's, even more exciting.
Very true, Ant. Very true. I think the game I'm most excited for right now, by just looking at the schedule, is that Week 3 game against Denver, only because it's Russell Wilson, only because it's the game last year that started the spiral for the Niners in Week 3 of 2021. So being able to get that game, a very similar type of game against an opponent that has a lot to prove. The only difference is now is last year, right? Week 3, the Niners were at home. This year, Week 3, they're on the road, so getting a chance to exercise the demon, be the spoilers as it may be. That I'm excited for. I think the game I'm least excited for, the one that I'm not as pumped about, is that Week 11 game against Arizona in Mexico City, only because you're traveling in elevation against a team that we've been hit or miss against in the NFC West as an opponent. Like we haven't always played our best against Arizona, and now you're going to be playing at 7,000 miles in altitude, Andy. You're up there, 7,000 feet.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there's not really a game that I look at that I'm like, oh, I don't really want to see this game. There's compelling stories around all of them. And so I think that's really one of the exciting things, because you would think Tampa Bay is going to be an extremely tough matchup. But, hey, it'll be fun to see what happens when Tom Brady, a stationary target, has to hold on the football because the 49ers DBs are doing a good job, and Nick Bosa and Samson Ebukam are beating at the quarterback. I think that's going to be something that's exciting to watch. And I think Miami's going to be compelling, too, just because Mike McDaniel's coming back to town.
Very, very, very much agreed with you there. Mark, cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for that. All the trash talk we're going to have that week is going to be absolutely glorious with the Miami Dolphins. And Megan, obviously most excited for the Bucks, Ant, in a shocking turn of events, even though she's a Patriots fan, loves herself some Tom Brady.
I thought she was most excited for Kansas City.
I think she's excited for the day. Maybe not so much the fact that there's a game on said day.
I'm more excited now that there's a game. I can tell you that. I can tell you right now. Transistor radio.
I'm torn.
We're doing something.
I'm torn, Ant.
Yeah.
I'm torn. Megan, get ready for TV at the reception potentially. That may be happening.
Well, the game should be over, right?
God, I hope so. For purposes and sakes of my sanity, Ant. God, I hope so. Good thing it's before Colorado. Before the Colorado cold. That is true, David. Before the Colorado cold comes in.
That's the same thing with Chicago being early in the season. Those things work out for the 49ers as well. Nice. I mean, that's not something we've really taken into account. But when you're looking at their road games later on, I mean, it's Las Vegas is in a dome. Seattle, it'll probably be raining. Let's be clear there. That's going to happen. That's a weather one. But the rest of them, I mean, I think you're looking at pretty good situations. The 49ers aren't going to be playing in the cold later on in the season. That is a very good point by David. That's well
glorious.
said.
That is great.
Yeah, when you're looking at the schedule, that's impactful.
That is.
Chicago last year was Halloween. Not this time.
Oh, no, not at all. Not this time at all. No weather games. Hopefully you do well enough early in the season that you have home field advantage, and then we're just sitting in the nice sunshine here in Santa Clara come playoff time.
I like that. I would love to have playoff games at home this year.
Agreed.
I think that can make a huge difference. 3 points playing at Levi South. This time playing up here at the North could change some things.
Definitely could change some things. But TCC, what game are you most excited for? Start dropping it in the comment section right now. Let's talk about this a little bit and see. I think the thing I love what you said, and Donald said this earlier as well, and earlier in the chat. With all the uncertainty surrounding the Niners right now and all the questions, the Week 1 game is the one that is the most anticipated of everything, because it's like, what is this team actually going to look like? What pieces are actually going to be in place where? And then how is this team going to go out and execute? That is the thing I cannot wait for. That's the thing I'm most excited about out of all of this, regardless of the tough schedule, regardless of who we're playing when. Week 1, getting all of the answers to all of the questions that are surrounding San Francisco is the thing I'm most excited about.
Yeah, and that's an interesting comment we got from Bolivar Trask. Carolina and Atlanta week 5 and 6 during hurricane season.
Oh, that is true.
Didn't take that into account.
Did not take that into consideration.
I didn't think about hurricane season. We don't have hurricanes out here on the West Coast, so that's not definitely nothing I thought about, but well said. So those are potentially things to watch out for. So we'll have to keep an eye on hurricane season to see if it affects the 49ers, especially if they're planning on staying on the East Coast. I didn't even think of that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That could change some things. It could change some things. Maybe those games get moved around.
Yeah.
But if it's not that bad there, I'm not worried about Atlanta since in a dome, you don't have to worry about it there as long as the weather permits and there's no issues. The Carolina one, though, that could get dicey.
Yeah.
The weather's not great.
It definitely could. And, and then said, will they stay in West Virginia between Carolina and Atlanta? I think they'll stay somewhere. I don't know if it'll be West Virginia. We'll see what happens. West Virginia has been a place they've stayed.
It's true.
They could stay somewhere else, somewhere a little bit more geographically closer to those two locations. Maybe they stay somewhere in Florida. Florida would make sense for them to stay somewhere there.
McDaniels would love that.
Maybe they go stay with McDaniels. They just have like a little group trip.
The boys are back in town. The boys are... Anyway.
Hey, Jacksonville, you want to see what happens when a real NFL team shows up and uses your facilities?
Yikes! Jaguars fans, big yikes. Wait,
there's Jaguar fans?
There are. They exist. They do exist. Joel Anders, I wish I was living in the States. That Raiders game will be on my birthday. Joel, that would be great.
Yeah,
too.
That would have been fantastic. That's going to be an exciting matchup, and the Raiders have made some improvements. They got a really good football team, and Devontae Adams is back to rear his ugly head against the San Francisco 49ers. And he's going to have some chemistry with Mr. Carr as they played college football together.
Yeah, they're close. They're buddies. Mudbone saying the Denver Broncos game. I do agree with you on that one, man. That is going to be an exciting one. And Bolivar with maybe the Ohio facility, and they've done that a couple times as well.
Yeah, you just might be going the wrong way. You're going north, and you need to be staying south.
Yes.
But
and you're going west. You're going north and west. You're going completely opposite directions where you need to be going.
Yeah, so I don't know where they're going to stay. I figure they find somewhere really nice.
It's true. And Jess is saying she definitely needs to go to one of these games. So look at that, Aunt.
Okay.
Look at that.
Well, if she buys tickets.
Hey, now. There it is. There it is, Jess. There it is. Now you know. Now you know the stipulations. Stipulations for the match have been set, Aunt. No holds barred.
Yeah.
No holds barred.
I'm sure that one of these games will be delightful to go to.
You're not wrong there. TCC, I hope you're excited about this as not only we are, but we know the 49ers are, and these guys are itching. They are absolutely itching to get after this and get the 2021 season taste out of their mouth, as well as just get off to the right start and put the right foot forward in 2022.
Yeah, and Mark Graves is right. Hotel prices for the Raider game are going to be through the roof, especially with the weekend that it's going to be. The fact that it's going to be New Year's, it's going to be crazy. That game's not going to be cheap to go to. Good thing Horst knows somewhere we could possibly stay.
Forgot about that. You are correct. He does. He actually does know a place that we could possibly stay. Horst, get on that. Get on that, my guy. Take care of that, please.
You could take Kirk to the buffet.
Oh, my goodness gracious, Aunt. Bobo, it's Kansas City for me. We owe them an ace whooping, Aunt.
I like that.
He wants the aces of whooping. He wants a can of whoop ace opened up all over the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Alex, looking at this schedule, and I don't want you to go ahead and give a firm prediction, so I'm going to allow a sliding scale.
Oh, boy.
What do you think the 49ers,
Wait, do we want to do this with Jay Hill not here? Are you sure?
Oh, well, I mean, this is just us talking, but,
okay.
About winnable matchups. How many winnable games do you see on this? I mean, normally you would say all of them, but, I mean, realistically, right, how many winnable...
I can go full Gary, right? Win. So, look, winnable games... weeks 1 and 2 are obviously winnable football games. I have to give week 3 is obviously a toss-up because of the team you're playing. You're on the road. You're in Mile High. That's going to be difficult. Week 4 against the Rams. You beat them twice in the regular season last year, so I have full confidence that is a winnable football game. Week 4, 5, and 6, all of those things there are winnable football games. Week 7, some people may say not as winnable. I think that is a more winnable football game, especially having seen the Kansas City Chiefs schedule up to that point. So I will give the Niners a chance to win that football, like a winning football game there. I'm going to split, obviously, with the Rams because I don't want to just go full homer the whole way. Week 10 is going to be a little bit more difficult. Week 11, winnable football game. Week 12, winnable football game. I mean, I look at this schedule and I see nine or 10 games that are winnable, games that I think the Niners should win, regardless of how tough it's going to be. They should win those games, and then the rest are toss-ups. I don't think there's not a single game that I look at and go, man, based on the current roster that I've seen for the Niners and what I know about the other team, the Niners have no chance of winning said football game. That's just a big fat L on the schedule. There's 17 games on the schedule that they can win. I think there's about 10 of them that I'm very confident right now, sitting here, having not watched a single practice, training camp, nothing, that I'm sitting here going, the Niners should win that football game.
Yeah, and what is up, Fluffy Ninja? Well, welcome to chat. I think that there is games that are winnable, and I think that, you know, when you're a coach, you look at a lot of different situations, but you want to go in with the ideals that you can win every football game. Correct. But there are games that stood out. Like, I thought Kansas City, when we initially saw the schedule, without seeing who they were going to be playing, that was a game that 49ers were probably going to struggle to win.
Correct.
So I originally didn't have that, you know, as a potential winning football game. But now that I'm looking at that, I need to go through the rest of the rest of the schedule, like you had brought up, and see who these matchups are going to be. Now, with that being said, I believe you're right. Games 1 and 2 stand out as winnable football games. Games 5 and 6 for sure stand out as winnable football games. That's 4 right off the bat. New Orleans 6, Miami 7, Commanders 8, and then you throw in the second Seattle game. That's 9. I think those are games that right off the bat are very winnable. And then I think the rest of them, there are some winnables, but not as, you know, likely or as obvious as those. So I do like it, though. I think that the 49ers, you know, have a nice schedule. I know it's supposed to be really tough, but the way that it worked out, potentially they're going to catch teams at the wrong time, and they're not going to have, you know, as many struggles that I thought. I thought they were going to get completely lambasted there for a little bit, and they were going to have Murderers Row, and they don't have that.
Very true. Very, very true there. What was it? Marvin here saying they could go 8-0 in the first 8 games, so he's calling the 8-0 start.
Wow. Okay. I love that.
I like the confidence.
If they go 8-0, they're going to do some major damage. Talk about home field advantage as well, because starting 8-0, I'm looking in that second half of the season, and I see winnable football game against New Orleans. That's 9 wins. Miami 10, Seattle 11, Washington 12, and then you think they split with Arizona. There's 13 wins. They start 8-0. They're winning at least 13 football games. So if Marvin's right and they go 8-0, that's an impressive start.
It's an extremely impressive start, and I will take that 8-0 start. I will take the 8-0 start.
Oh, love it. Yeah, I love when Gary says 17-0. It's
my favorite.
Yeah, it really is. I love that.
Yeah, it's glorious. It's glorious when he gives the 17-0 prediction. Answer.
Yeah, nothing wrong with being Homer from time to time. As a fan, you want them to win every single football game.
You do.
You know, so realistic. I mean, sometimes it's not realistic for them to win every football game. You'd love it. They almost did it in 1984. Almost got it done.
It's true.
So it can happen. I think there's some tough football games, but they got a lot of winnable ones.
It's true. We have no games in the New Jersey Death Dome, says Paul Saunders. You are correct. We stay away from the New York Giants. The Niners, right? The Niners walking through the stadium because of how awful that turf is. Have to literally let everyone, hey, walk in here. I'm walking here because you can't bump into anybody. Otherwise, you're going to destroy your legs or your lower half.
Yeah, and Adam Baum says, do you think they'll beat the Dolphins?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins have a really good defense.
Agreed.
That 3-4 style, and the fact that Mike McDaniel was smart enough to keep that defensive staff and keep, you know, that way of playing. They don't have to change their personnel groupings. I think that was smart. I think they're going to have a good defense. But I don't believe that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be able to beat the San Francisco 49ers. This defensive line is going to absolutely get after him. So I think that is one of the big problems. And Mike McDaniel is going to have to establish the run game. We'll see if Raheem Mostert's healthy. They got some good running backs there. But this is year 1 of Mike McDaniel. If we were talking year 3 of Mike McDaniel, I might be a little bit more worried. But they're definitely going to have a tremendous amount of speed between Waddle, Hill, and Raheem Mostert.
Or if we were talking Mike McDaniel and freaking Tom Brady, and literally there's a handful of other quarterbacks who could have landed in Miami that I would actually be worried about. Now, there was not a single quarterback who could have been drafted that I would have been worried about, but if Tom Brady had ended up in Miami, if another quarterback had ended up with Miami, with McDaniels, then I would be super concerned. But the fact that it's Tua Tagovailoa, the fact that I have questions and concerns about his ability to escape, and that escapability, and going up against this front four, going up against this linebacking core, going up against this improved secondary, you're ready to handle teams like this now. Teams with the speedy wide receivers and a quarterback who's semi-elusive in this case with Tua Tagovailoa. He doesn't necessarily have the arm strength, so I'm not worried about him taking the top off over the top of the defense with all that speed. I think the Niners could get after this and make this game make it hurt, because let's not forget, in 2020, the Miami Dolphins came to town and embarrassed San Francisco. They absolutely embarrassed a team that was
embarrassed Brian Allen.
Touche. He also has embarrassed himself in the USFL, by the way. It has been really bad.
I was hoping to refer.
It has been really bad, Ed.
I've been cheering for him.
It's been really bad. That is legitimately a dumpster fire. But the Niners would like to get vengeance and revenge for that game as well.
Right. I think that Kyle Shanahan doesn't like losing to people he's coached with. He takes it serious. So he's going to take this one serious. He's going to get after Mike McDaniel. I've seen Adam Baum said, I hope we beat the Seahawks this week, and also said, which games do you think we're going to lose? I'm not going to go ahead and say we're going to lose any games right now without looking at, other teams' schedules.
Agreed.
But there are games that stand out that are going to be more difficult. I believe Denver, as Alex has brought up, is one of those games that's going to be extremely difficult to win in Denver. And I think Tampa Bay coming to San Francisco is a tough game because you're going against a very good football team and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Tom Brady. I think those are two that stand out as really tough games to win. I don't think the Chargers is going to be an easy matchup either.
No.
However, coming off a bye, I think the 49ers have a chance to win it. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the potential, but I'm not going to go ahead and say they're going to lose games yet until I look at the schedule. And really, I just hate saying they're going to lose games.
I just don't like doing that.
I mean, it's going to happen. It's inevitable.
Yes, it is inevitable, Ant. It is inevitable. Samantha, how are you doing? Bolivar says we play 4 first-time head coaches this upcoming season. He is correct there. There are 4 on the docket there. So, hopefully San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan can take advantage of that. But that also means you don't know necessarily what they want to do, how they're going to scheme things up, how they're going to implement. So that does make them a little bit of a wild card in that aspect as well. So it's a double-edged sword there. It's definitely a dual-edged sword. Ninja Ant wants to know if Kinlaw is going to be effective. If he's healthy, he should be. Yes, absolutely.
I sure as heck hope so.
He better.
That's what I hope.
The Niners are banking on it.
If Kinlaw is effective, then their defense is not going to take a step back. It's going to take a tremendous step forward.
Correct.
The guy's a dynamic run stopper, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and it's all about health. If he can fix and fill that DJ Jones spot with DJ Jones moving on to hello Denver, then potentially the 49ers defense can take another step forward. They have added depth at the edge position, and they definitely have a secondary that's even better than ever because of Charvarius Ward. I'm excited about this 49ers defense, and I think Kinlaw is a big part of that, but he has to be able to stay healthy. If so, then when Hassan Ridgeway plays, they're going to have a lot more depth than they've ever had, and they're probably going to have a better starting unit on the defensive front, which is crazy to say. But that interior defensive line with Kinlaw and Armstead it's really good.
Very true. And optimism is always king, Gary. You're not wrong. You're accurate. You're 100% accurate, my guy. Adam Baum with us. So what is the deal with Debo and Jimmy? ? What is the deal?
The simple is Debo tried to make a business decision. He tried to put pressure on the 49ers front office to go ahead and move him. Once the draft went away, so did his leverage, which he had very little of anyways because he's on a rookie pay scale. He can't afford to hold out. There's not a lot of leverage for Debo. The 49ers, sat back, called his bluff. It didn't work out for him, and now he's going to be a San Francisco 49er. They're going to try to work out a contract extension closer to the training camp. They'll probably get something done. If they don't, he's going to play on his rookie pay scale. It's that simple. And when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo, once he's cleared medically, then they'll make a decision on him. They'll either move him, trade him. The Giants are freeing up money. James Bradbury, adios. Freeing up some cap space there. Carolina could always use a quarterback for 1 year. We know they drafted someone, but they could always do that. And then, of course, you could always just cut him.
True. You could always just cut him. We'll see. The Jimmy situation is going to depend fully and entirely on his health and when he is ready to go and can pass that physical. Then the Niners can actually start making decisions because he actually becomes a viable option to make decisions. He becomes a viable option to cut. He becomes a viable option to trade. He becomes a viable option to potentially, as some 49ers fans don't want to hear this, but potentially compete if that's the route the Niners want to take if there's nothing else on the table that makes sense for them.
Yeah. Number one, depth in John Chapman's depth reasons. The quarterback position because Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the books.
He's not wrong. He's 100% right. And I saw Gary with what's all this talk about Terry Bradshaw? Agreed. What's up with all this TB12 talk?
Oh, TB12. Terry Bradshaw. Interesting. I was completely lost there for a second.
Gary, that was solid.
Yeah.
That was solid. It took me a second, and then I was like, I know exactly what this guy is on. And P. Murr finally made it. Welcome, man. All you missed was us talking about every single one of those games up on the screen right now, P. Murr. It's a lot of things. But the good news is it stays up, so he has a lot of time to go back and watch said things about all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we went through it, and then we talked about these games and some of the matchups and stuff. It's exciting. I think P. Murr, welcome though. I'm glad you were able to come by and come through.
It's true. It's true. Apparently, Warren has a man crush on Brady, Ant. So there's that.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful.
Well, him and Megan can start their group, about TB12.
The TB12 lovers group.
Yeah,
the TB12 lovers club.
There you go.
Will Green Bay be as good this year? Says Adam Baum. They still have Aaron Rodgers, so I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, anytime you have Aaron freaking Rodgers and you have an opportunity to win football games, the question for Green Bay is, are you going to play the 49ers in the playoffs? Because if you do, you're going to take a fat L. And you're going to be going home. So if you're buying stock in Green Bay, just make sure they're not playing the Niners in the playoffs, or your stock's not going up that high.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, they still have some weapons. They don't have necessarily the same level of weapons.
Yeah.
They will definitely probably take a step back in terms of firepower and how dominant they were against some teams this last season. But it's Aaron Rodgers.
Well, and they got some young guys. Christian Watson's going to be a big impactful player for them.
Agreed.
So I mean, going out and getting a couple of guys in the draft that they could use to go with the guys that they were signing in free agency. They did their best to try to replace Devontae Adams, but Devontae Adams is not easy to replace, and neither is MVS. And MVS went to Kansas City, so they had to get Christian Watson. And if Watson can be the player that everyone envisions him to be, then here in a couple of years, Aaron Rodgers is going to have a really formidable option to go to.
Very true. Paul Saunders, hey, we'll get to see what Christian Watson looks like. Yeah, we're going to get to see Christian Watson week 1 of the preseason.
Yeah, week 1 of the preseason. I'm actually glad it's the preseason, not the regular season. Don't have to worry about Aaron until the playoffs. That's good news. Very
true. Marvin Rose, Ant, with the synopsis for everybody here. Nice and concise. The consensus is the Niners will be awesome.
Oh,
that season's going to be a legend. Wait for it.
That was very accurate.
It was very accurate. And that accurate shirt, and is so accurate that they should hop on over to 49ers Cutback shop right now and cop yourself that accurate shirt, because you want to not only be accurate, but let everyone know what accurate is. The definition, Ant, on the shirt.
More than accurate.
More than accurate.
There you go.
Look at that. Look at that. You want that. You need that in your life. Our defense is better than it was last year, says Paul Saunders, and it's definitely trending that way. I'm excited to see what the defense is actually going to be once you get all the pieces together and DeMeco Ryans able to get his hands on them and mold them.
I think it has the potential to be better. I think the question marks, surrounding Javon Kinlaw, if he's going to be able to live up to expectations, if he's healthy and able to play, anywhere close to DJ Jones level, then yes, the defensive line is better. I think they're going to have more depth around that spot. And then in the secondary, the questions around Jason Verrett. If Jason Verrett's healthy, the top 3 cornerbacks on this team are better than last year, because you added Ward to what was already your starting group, of Verrett and Mosley. So I think you're just getting better there. So I think there's potential to be better, but there's still some questions, including at the safety position. Is it Tarvarius Moore? Is it Taldo Hufanga? Who's starting there?
True. There's a lot of questions there. And you know what? Because I got the Wild That's Bold shirt on, and I'm going to go a Wild That's Bold prediction right now on the schedule. The Niners could go anywhere from 14-3, Ant, all the way to 6-11. You can be any of those things.
Wow, that was bold.
Shout out Jay Hill.
Yeah.
Shout out
really
Jay
bold.
Hill.
Whoa. Yeah. I'm not gonna give my prediction right now on what the 49ers winning record is gonna be. But I will tell you they're gonna win more football games than they lose. So I'll give you that.
Dynamite.
There you go.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That was glorious. David Green, who on the 49ers has the most weight on their shoulders this season? That is an excellent question. I would argue right now it's Fred Warner, not because he actually has weight on his shoulders, but because he's probably putting the most weight on his shoulders, because we heard him consistently last year talking about how he didn't feel he was playing up to par. He wasn't doing enough. He wasn't making enough plays. I think he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders to try and live up to the moniker of being the face of the franchise, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
I would argue that the most weight is actually not on a football player, but on a Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, fair.
Kyle Shanahan picked his guy in Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is going to be out on the football field. He's going to start feeling the pressure. If Trey isn't able to go out there and operate in the way we all think he can, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, and he's going to start to feel a little bit of heat on that seat. I think he'll have time. This year he won't get a full hot seat, but if Trey really struggles, then next year it will be somewhat of a hot seat for Kyle Shanahan. As far as football players, I think these guys kind of share the load. Even though they all put a lot of weight on themselves, they have a nice leadership group that can definitely get it done. Jason Verrett's a leader on this football team. George Kittle, Fred Warner, Trent Williams. These are really good guys who all are going to share the load. So I think it does come on to Kyle Shanahan and the weight of him picking Trey Lance and them, him and John Lynch deciding to go up to pick 3 to make that selection.
It's true. Bolivar is saying Banks and McGlinchey are the 2 who have the most weight on their shoulders, and they're definitely an argument to be made there. Marketing Pro dropping in, and with the Santa Clara 49ers have 0 rings. The question will be, is Marketing Pro going to take all of this smack talk over to Quest for the West?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on there. But if you're talking about geographical location, that means the St. Louis Rams championship doesn't count for Marketing Pro.
Sure.
So that stinks. And how are the Inglewood Rams, because it's not Los Angeles, then is it?
It's true. It's not.
Come on, man.
That's a lot. It's a lot of words there.
Yeah. The Dallas Cowboys also don't play in Dallas. The New York Giants also don't play in New York. If we're really going to get into this, there's a lot of football teams that don't play where they're from. Well done, Marketing Pro.
That's true, or Marketing Crow, as Paul Sanders has called him. That's absolutely glorious. I haven't looked at the Rams schedule yet, so I'm not 100% sure, Paul. We'll have to dive into that at some point. Let's take a look at all the NFC West teams, because obviously those games do matter for San Francisco. Android user, do we have to worry about McGlinchey's quad, even if he's cleared to start week 1? If he's cleared to start, I don't think you have too much to worry about, because you're not going to clear this man to start. The Niners have been very careful and cautious the last few seasons with how they deal with and how they handle injuries. If he's cleared to start and cleared to go by the time we get to week 1, he's healthy. He's ready.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that the 49ers sign off on a player being out there, they're fully capable of getting the job done, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Niners are going to sign off on these guys, and we're going to see. I think there's some decisions still to be made about the defensive players, so I'm excited about it.
Very true. Very excited about that, and very excited.
Handled the word champ Rams, the world champ Rams.
Oh. Okay. I thought we beat them twice last year.
Yeah, we're going to find out, Marketing Pro.
All right, fair. Sounds good. With the potential for a possible head coaching job, do you think the defense will be extra aggressive this season? I don't know if it'll be extra aggressive, just so much as D'Amico is going to be expanding upon what he already built, the foundation he laid, which was an incredible foundation. He doesn't have to do a whole heck of a lot to impress people. He's already impressed people. It's about sustaining, taking what you just did, find ways to improve upon it, and make it a little bit better, because if you can make it just a little bit better, he becomes an even more enticing head coaching prospect.
Yeah, I think what D'Amico Ryans is going to be as aggressive as what's required. I think a lot of times when you're playing offensive teams, you're not going to take chances if you don't have to, but when they're required, you go ahead and do it. Now, D'Amico was a lot more aggressive and more versatile in the way that he used his talent than somebody like Robert Saleh was. Robert Saleh sat in the base a lot and let his guys just flow around and make plays. When it comes down to it, though, that's not what D'Amico likes to do. So I think he's going to be aggressive in the sets and the looks that he gives to offenses and the way that he tries to confuse them and make them think, that they're seeing something that they're not. But I don't always think they're going to come after, he's going to go after people with tremendous pressure. I think at times he's just going to use the window dressing to confuse them. So I'm excited about what he's going to do. And I'm excited about the versatility that the 49ers added through free agency and through the draft. They're going to give him a lot of different options. They can move people all over the place on the defensive line. All 3 linebackers can play, any one of the positions. And now with the facts and the things that they've done at the cornerback position, they can move Verrett, Mosley, and Ward inside and out all over the place. It's going to be a fun defense to watch, and I think D'Amico's going to have a lot of control over it.
Agreed with you there. And is Marketing Pro talking about curling? Did the curling championships happen in New York City? The NYC championship game?
NYC championship game. Well done.
I'm wondering if that's what it was. That time of the year, it's snowing outside. Maybe they had it outdoor in like Times Square or something. I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing, Marketing Pro. We've never denied that the Rams beat the 49ers in the NFC championship game.
No.
Congratulations, you won a Super Bowl. Well done. When you get 5, come talk to us.
We'll be right here.
And if you're a prisoner of the moment, and you say, "Oh, we haven't done it recently." Yeah, then your arguments are always terrible. And that's why you're afraid to go on Quest of the West.
The burn, Ant, the call out. I like that. Philip here. San Francisco isn't just a city. There's a really big bay named San Francisco. Santa Clara nearly sits on Aviso Slough, which is part of that bay.
Yeah, I mean,
look at that.
You know what you can't do in the SoFi Stadium? share with other Rams fans because they're all 49er fans.
It's accurate.
But no, the thing with the stadium there at Levi's, it's a nice stadium.
Sure.
You know, and the Niners I seen earlier where I think was it David Green that asked if the Niners were going to win home games this year. Hopefully the 49ers have more success at home this year than they had last year.
Oh God, please.
They've had some struggles since 2020 about winning football games at home, which is a far cry from 2019 where they won, you know, almost all the games at home. Besides the last second without a field goal kicker against Seattle, they were winning football games at home, and I think Atlanta as well. But yeah, the Niners got to get back to winning at Levi's Stadium. So hopefully they can do that this year.
I would prefer it, Ant. I would prefer winning at home, so that way we can enjoy San Francisco wins at home. Maybe. Well, let's just hope, Ant. If Megan is serious about Week 14, let's hope the streak stays alive. The streak can stay alive of me being at 49ers games that are wins at home. I have not been to a loss yet, so knock on wood and hope for good stuff.
Yeah, Marketing Pro. Just so you know, Rams gear at Market at San Francisco has to, because no one owned Rams gear before that. Before they won a Super Bowl, no one owned it. So there you go. Now you finally got gear.
Well, you know, it's also, and it's just one of those times inflation's really high, right? You know, people are just trying to make sure they have clothes and stuff for their family.
Basement
exactly. You tear up that jersey a little bit, use it as a blanket. It makes I heard it also burns pretty well too, so it's good for fueling the fire at home. That's always a positive thing. Marketing I always Pro.
Enjoy having Marketing Pro come through. So well done, Marketing Pro.
Always fun. Man.
Always nice to have a little banter with you.
It always is. Look, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be a lot of fun this season. This 2022 schedule being released. Relief, Ant, knowing when the Niners are supposed to play, who they are going to be playing, and when it is. Megan, start preparing for a crazy wedding day because it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait to have the TV blaring as you walk down the aisle. And I'm giving the 2-minute drill because I mean that's what's going to happen. Right?
Touchdown 49ers! Touchdown 49ers! No. Big jokes. Love you. Love you. See you in a little bit.
Yeah. What's up, Megan?
I don't want to sleep on the couch tonight. No, thank you.
Remember, you put me in control. This is your fault.
Does Goodwill count as a clothing store, says Paul Saunders?
Ooh, well played, Paul. I like that.
Sick burn, Paul.
Yeah.
Sick burn. Sick burn. Sit on the home side and the sun isn't a problem, says T.O.
You know, the Levi Stadium, just the way it's built. I mean, there's issues. I mean, everyone grew to love them at Candlestick Park, but it got absolutely frigidly cold at Candlestick Park. It was cold there at Kezar Stadium. Your butt hurt from sitting on the bleachers. That's what everyone has been telling me in chat. Lou told me from going there, you had to bring cushions and stuff. So every stadium you go to is going to have something. And Levi Stadium, it's tremendously hot early on in the season when the sun's on you. And then, yeah, it's a little bit, it's hard to get out of there. But, you know, it was hard to get out of a lot of places. If you go watch the Giants play, you know, the SF Giants, it's a little bit harder to get out of there too. If you get caught, you know, before you can get over the bridge, it's difficult. So I think there are always obstacles to overcome. And that's why some people always choose to watch it on TV and don't go to the actual game.
This is true. This is true. There isn't the way they film games now as well, and how they broadcast games. There is a sort of ambiance that you get watching games from home in terms of how much action you get to see that you necessarily can't get at the stadium. Now there is the trade-off, right? The environment, obviously the energy and all that. You don't necessarily get that same thing at home, but you do get better views and better angles of the game and replays.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to see the game in a multitude of different ways, it's a little bit better to watch it at home, and that's why these TV deals are getting huge because more and more people are watching it at home, and stadiums are having to find ways to make it more enticing to go. The atmosphere, you're right. Watching a game in person, there's something special about that atmosphere. Being able to cheer along with all your fan base, as everyone thinking one thing at one time, and that excitement. You can feel that place shake. When something big happens. The chance after a first down, and that it's really a great atmosphere, and it's a good time going to football games. But they make it really, really hard when you can sit at home, watch instant replays, and be able to know that, hey, 2 feet we're in. You know what I mean? You can see them on the big screen up there, but it's a little bit different with all the camera angles you get from watching on network television.
Also true, Ant. Also true. Marvin, though, Ant, watched the Niners at the stick. Homeless guy sat 4 seats away from him and apparently was leaking the whole game.
Yeah. Candlestick Park was interesting.
It was,
but absolutely fantastic to watch. I loved watching, every sport that I got to see there, whether it was baseball, watching the Giants there, or watching the 49ers. It was great. The last 49ers game I went was actually against the New York Football Giants, and Colin Kaepernick came in the middle of the game and threw a nice seam route. the Niners got absolutely mollywopped, but they ended up going to the Super Bowl that season, so it was exciting.
Very true. Bolivar here. What do you guys think about the Amazon games? I'm assuming you mean the week, is it week 14?
Well, there is the preseason one with the Texans,
right. Texans
and then week 15, I believe it is, against the Seattle Seahawks. The Prime thing is going to be interesting. It's the first time that it's like exclusively on Prime. I remember a couple years ago, the 49ers played the Cardinals on Prime, but it was Prime and NFL Network kind of combined. So I think that's interesting. I wonder, how it's going to go, and if Prime is ready for this. But they're definitely spending a lot of money to make sure that they're going to put on a good show. And I think this is going to continue the expansion of what the 49ers, what the NFL wants to do with the TV deals. There's more money out there, and this is one of the ways that they're working on getting more money for their brand and more money to the players.
Very true. You got to find a way to bring that money in and increase that salary cap that puts more money in everyone's pockets, and the NFL then continues to get to expand and get closer and closer to teasing those overseas teams that they really, really want to start.
Yeah, and Marketing Pro, I got a little bit of problem with your trash talk. Two-peat, all-time two-peat. You mean back-to-back?
You haven't back-to-back then?
It's three-peat, and it's not two-peat. Come on, Mark. Come on. Step up your game. Come on, I want better trash talk than that. Let's go.
Yeah, you got to get a little bit better. just a smidge better. Look, though, TCC, this was a lot of fun. The schedule release and getting to know all these games. We need to now go through the rest of everyone else's schedules, the non-important team schedules, and figure out when they're playing who and what they're doing against what, and get a better idea of what San Francisco is actually facing this year, and who are the teams that could be hot, who are the teams that could be beaten and weary by the time they have to face San Francisco this upcoming season.
Yeah, and I'm glad that everyone came, here to the channel, because I just literally got an update right now that ESPN just got to the 49ers versus Rams game for week 4. Thanks a lot for that. If you're watching ESPN, you have not even got through all these football games.
Holy crap.
That's one of the things that makes it so much better. Going to a YouTube, going to Facebook, going to one of your local content creators. They're going to get on your team, and they're going to have all the analysis you want to hear on that. You can go back and watch clips of ESPN later.
It's true. You don't need to sit through 4 hours of them going through the entire schedule and dragging on through every single game, talking about your team for half of a second. No, you can come right here to the 49ers Cutback, where we're just going to talk about your San Francisco 49ers and to end what they're facing and what they got coming up this 2022 season, which is definitely a tough road, definitely one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, but isn't so insurmountable that we're sitting here right now shaking in our little boots.
No, I'm looking at the schedule, and I think that there's some good situations for the 49ers. Now, I see some tough games as well, but I'm looking forward to getting into all the team schedules so that we can kind of try to get an idea of how it's going to go. And all the while, that you can make a prediction all you want, but you don't know who's going to get injured. You don't know what's going to happen during the season, and that's one of the greatest things about football. It's the ultimate team game, and that's what's going to be fun, is watching this team try to win these football games and try to get back to the Super Bowl, because they were oh so close last year, and the opportunity to get there with a young quarterback is still there. We'll see what they can do.
It's right there. It's right within the 49ers' grasp, and they just have to go and seize it. We'll see if this is the season where they can finally get it done. Rookie pay scale and all. That would be absolutely glorious heading into a season in which the salary cap is going to boom in 2023. Let's hope that's what we're doing. And also, just to stick it to Marketing Pro, that one's just for you, man. Hopefully you're on quest for the West. TCC, though, 2022 schedule is out. We know who the 49ers are facing. Get ready, stay tuned, because we will be having predictions for you, and schedule predictions and season and record predictions for the San Francisco 49ers, plus tons of more content coming your way. You're not going to want to miss any of it, so make sure you're subscribed.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time, and just like the offseason doesn't stop for the 49ers, it doesn't stop for us. And we know that this weekend is going to be the rookie minicamp. So the 49ers are going to have rookies coming around. I've seen that, they're coming into town and they're excited about working. Already started seeing some film as well of Kamoko Toure working out, looking absolutely fantastic as an edge rusher. I'm already getting excited about the season. Oh my gosh, we still got a long ways to go.
Still got a long ways to go. A lot of things still to happen, from rookie mini camps and to OTAs, non-mandatory mini camps, to mandatory OTAs and mini camps, to actual training camp and preseason games, and then rosters getting cut down and decisions being made and Project 53. Oh my God, there's so much stuff.
Yeah, there's so much stuff coming up.
So many things.
No one's gonna want to miss it, from exclusives over on Patreon to thing for channel members only, and then also right here on YouTube, new stuff all the time. It's going to be a fun off season, and it's going to be a fun regular season, because regular season is different when you get to 49ers Cutback content.
That is accurate, Ant. And David Green, you are correct. You never know. That's why we can't say no to a 17-0 season.
Love it.
You are correct. 17-0 is definitely possible. We're going to dive into all of it. We'll catch you on the next one, TCC and the faithful. And until that time, stay safe.
And remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.